In a silent courtroom, a 12-year-old black boy stood up and said, "Let my mother go, and I'll make you stand." The judge, paralyzed for 8 years, froze. The crowd laughed. They didn't know this boy was about to turn their laughter into shock by doing what everyone thought was impossible. The courtroom doors opened with a groan, and silence swallowed the noise. Reporters raised their pens. A thin boy, Kevin Washington, 12, sat beside his trembling mother, Deborah, who avoided the eyes staring at her like knives. For 15 years she had cleaned this very courthouse, mopping floors, emptying trash, forgotten by everyone she served. Now she stood accused of stealing $50,000 from the administrative safe. At the bench sat Judge William Carter, his wheelchair gleaming under the lights, his eyes colder than steel. Paralyzed from the waist down after a car accident, he ruled with bitterness instead of mercy. The prosecutor smirked. The jury whispered. To them, the case was already closed. A poor black janitor, money missing. What else could it be? But Kevin didn't look scared. His gaze shifted from one face to another, reading each reaction. Behind that calm stare, a plan was already forming. He wasn't just watching a trial, he was preparing to rewrite it. When the judge called for the verdict, Kevin suddenly stood. "Let my mother go," he said, "and I'll make you stand." The words cracked through the silence like lightning. For a moment, even the gavel paused mid-air. Then laughter erupted. Reporters whispered, spectators chuckled, and Judge Carter's lips twisted into a cruel smile. "This is a court of law, not a circus," he barked. "Sit down, boy. Miracles don't happen here." Kevin didn't blink. "Then I'll create one," he said softly. Carter's assistant, Thomas Mitchell, shifted nervously in his seat. His fingers fidgeted with a pen, his eyes avoiding the boy's. Kevin noticed. Everyone else saw a desperate child clutching at hope. But Kevin's eyes were sharp, studying, measuring, calculating. He wasn't bluffing. Somewhere in his worn-out school backpack lay something powerful enough to shake the walls of that courtroom. And he was about to use it. For 6 months, Kevin had lived 2 lives. By day, a quiet student from the city's poorest neighborhood. By night, a silent observer in the courthouse where his mother worked. He learned to notice the things adults ignored. The sound of keys at night, the laughter behind closed doors, the subtle glances between corrupt men. He knew that justice didn't come to people like them. It had to be taken. When the money vanished, Kevin remembered a conversation he overheard. Judge Carter complaining about cutting costs, and his assistant bragging about luck at the casino. The pieces fit too neatly, so Kevin started recording. He used his old-school recorder, tucked inside his backpack, capturing every careless joke, every racist remark, every lie whispered in confidence. Now, sitting in court, that same backpack lay by his feet, silent, waiting. While adults saw a scared child, Kevin had become something else entirely. A detective hidden in plain sight, a witness armed with the truth. The prosecutor, Mr. Davidson, stood with a sneer. "People like your mother always steal when given a chance," he said. "It's in their nature." The room erupted in cruel laughter. Deborah lowered her head, tears burning her eyes. Kevin's fists clenched, but his voice stayed calm. "My mother's cleaned your floors for 15 years, he said. "If she wanted money, she could have taken it 100 times. The judge slammed the gavel. "Enough. This isn't a debate." Kevin's eyes flicked to Thomas Mitchell. A glint of gold flashed, a new Rolex, gleaming under the lights. A clerk's salary couldn't buy that. Neither could honesty. But Carter didn't care. "The evidence is clear," he said coldly. "Guilty." Laughter again. Cruel, echoing, heartless. Kevin looked up slowly. "Then let's test your evidence," he said quietly. "Let's see who's really guilty." The judge smirked. "And how do you plan to do that, boy?" Kevin's answer was a smile. A small, knowing one that didn't reach his eyes. Before Kevin could speak again, a firm voice echoed from the back. "The boy is right." Heads turned. A tall black woman in an elegant gray suit walked down the aisle with confidence that silenced the room. "I am Patricia Williams, Attorney at law, she said, flashing her credentials. And I'm here to represent the Washington family. Gasps filled the courtroom. Carter scowled. This case is closed. Not anymore, Patricia replied. I have new evidence. Reporters sprang to their feet. 3 weeks earlier, Kevin had secretly called Patricia after finding her name online. Took him days to build the courage. But when he told her what he'd discovered, the casino visits, the new car, the missing money, she believed him. Together, they had built a silent case. Now, Patricia opened her briefcase. Your Honor, I have proof of who really stole the money. And it's not Deborah Washington. Mitchell froze. The boy's calm eyes met his trembling ones. The courtroom that once laughed at Kevin now leaned forward in stunned silence. Patricia's voice was sharp as steel. Mr. Thomas Mitchell, she said. You bought a $300,000 house last month. Cash. You earn $45,000 a year. Care to explain? Mitchell's face turned pale. Coincidence, he stammered. Kevin opened a folder and slid it across the table. Inside, security footage from the courthouse parking lot. The timestamp read 11:47 p.m., March 15th, hours after everyone else had left. The screen showed a familiar figure unlocking the back door. Thomas Mitchell. The audience gasped. Reporters scribbled furiously. At that exact moment, 2 men in dark suits stepped inside, federal agents. Patricia turned to them. You know what to do. As Mitchell tried to stand, the agents approached. His hands shook. I need air, he muttered. Kevin's voice cut through the chaos. You'll get plenty of air in prison. Mitchell's knees buckled. The agents cuffed him as cameras flashed. The laughter that once mocked Kevin now turned into stunned silence. Judge Carter's jaw tightened. His eyes darted between the boy and his assistant. For the first time, doubt crept into his face. Do you still think my mother stole the money, Your Honor? Kevin asked softly. Patricia smiled. Kevin, show them what else you found. The boy lifted his old laptop, connecting it to the courtroom speakers. A click, and the judge's own voice filled the room. These black cases are all the same. Guilty until proven innocent. Saves time. A wave of shock swept through the audience. Another clip played. The prosecutor's voice. They always steal when they can. It's in their blood. Reporters shot to their feet. Flash after flash. The crowd erupted in disbelief. Carter slammed the gavel, shouting, This is private. Patricia cut him off. These recordings are already with the FBI and national media. Private? Not anymore. Kevin looked up. Do you want me to play the one where you said you'd teach this black family a lesson? The judge froze. Davidson hid his face behind papers. 6 months of Kevin's secret recordings were unraveling years of corruption in real time. The same courtroom that once humiliated a child now sat trembling before him. Justice wasn't coming. It had already arrived. Judge Carter's hands trembled. His career, his reputation gone. Sweat rolled down his forehead as whispers filled the room. Then something else happened. He gasped, clutching the sides of his wheelchair. His legs, numb for 8 years, tingled. The crowd noticed. What's happening? Someone shouted. Carter's feet twitched. Slowly, painfully, his knees moved. Kevin watched quietly. I said I'd make you stand, he murmured. I just didn't say how. The judge's breathing quickened. He grabbed the edge of the bench, forcing his body upright. Gasps, tears, cameras flashing. He stood, shaking, pale, terrified. Doctors would later call it psychosomatic recovery, his body responding to unbearable truth. But in that moment, it looked like something divine. Carter looked at Kevin, no longer with arrogance, but with fear. Kevin's eyes were steady. Now you can walk, he said. But you'll have to walk out of this court and face the world you created. The verdict was overturned that same afternoon. Deborah Washington walked free, tears streaming down her face as the courtroom applauded. Thomas Mitchell confessed to the embezzlement, sentenced to prison for 8 years. Prosecutor Davidson was disbarred for racial misconduct. And Judge William Carter, the man who once laughed at justice, resigned the next day. News channels across the country replayed the footage. The paralyzed judge standing, trembling before the boy who made him face the truth. Kevin became a national symbol of courage. Interviews poured in. Reporters called him the boy who made justice stand. But when asked how he felt, Kevin simply said, "It wasn't about revenge. It was about truth." The system began to change. New policies, bias training, and transparency laws followed. For the first time in years, Deborah smiled without fear. A year later, Kevin sat before a camera, his YouTube channel glowing on screen. Justice at 12. He spoke calmly. Don't wait until you grow up to fight for what's right. Injustice has no age, so neither should courage. Millions watched. Schools invited him to speak. Patricia became his lifelong mentor. Meanwhile, in a small apartment miles away, William Carter watched the boy's interview on a flickering TV. His legs worked fine now, but his life was empty. He could walk again, but he had nowhere left to go. Kevin's voice echoed through the speakers. The miracle wasn't making him walk. The miracle was making people see. As the video ended, the screen faded to black with the words, "When truth stands tall, even the powerful must kneel." If the story of courage and justice moved you, subscribe and share, because sometimes it only takes one brave heart and a small voice to make the impossible happen.